We've been interviewing some of the people behind charities, and I'm absolutely privileged to be staying much closer to home this time. And we're going to be interviewing my boss and CEO of AMRC, Hilary Reynolds. Welcome, Hilary.
Thank you very much, Carol. It's a pleasure to be here.
You've had a really strong background and a very important career in the public sector. What made you decide to move over into charity and medical research charities?
As you say, I've worked for 30 years in the public service here and in New Zealand. And I've always enjoyed working in collaboration with charities throughout that time, mainly in the health and welfare sectors. And I thought I wanted to see whether I could make a transfer to another sector and live in the shoes of charities and interact with government, hopefully bringing skills and expertise I'd learned, but also having a new experience and continuing to learn for myself. So it was a positive choice.
You definitely do bring those things to us. Before you joined the AMRC, what did you think of us?
Oh, well, I first found out about the AMRC when I was Director of Strategy and Research at the Stroke Association, and I heard about this membership organisation for the specific part of research. And as I got to read stuff that you did, and I talked to people who worked with you, I thought that it was a really smart and focused organisation. And when I saw an ad for a trustee vacancy coming up, I thought, actually, that's something that would be worthwhile doing. I think I could add something. So I thought of AMRC as a sharp, clever, and really well-purposed organisation.
I hope we live up to your expectations. What makes you most proud to work here?
Gosh, what makes me proud? I'm proud of the people and the passion and professionalism the team brings. Really small team. I thought AMRC was bigger than it is. So perfectly formed, passionate and professional people with a real purpose. And the other thing that makes me proud is the way that people go so far to think about how to add value to members and also be a voice in the sector. So there's real thought leadership going on.
Is there such a thing? I think probably not, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Is there such a thing as a typical day for you at AMRC?
There's not so much a typical day as the rhythm of a week, I think. So in any week, I try and ensure that I have variety because I know my own limitations. And I always make sure that I've got time for one-to-ones with people, individuals, always time to give feedback, give praise, have some time for reflection. I'm a big fan of breaks, both mini breaks and switching off at the end of the day. I realise that sounds as if I don't do any work. So the other thing I try and make sure in a typical week is I've got a balance between internal brainstorms and workshops and one-to-ones and external meetings with stakeholders, whether I know them or not. So it's more of a balance across the spectrum of things I'm expected to do. And in between there's some of the boring operational things that are necessary, but I can't say get me very excited.
I know the AMRC does an awful lot, as you say, and your role in particular is quite vast. What's your favourite part of the job here?
My favourite part of the job? What makes me most energised is probably having a brainstorm session, whether that's internal with the team or external with a bunch of members, or even, I guess, conceivably with stakeholders. But it's the opportunity to create ideas and be in a problem-solving space together with others. That's where I get my energy. That's what I most enjoy.
You haven't been inside the tent for that long. What are you most looking forward to about your time with us?
I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is helping AMRC continue to be the sector voice it's clearly shown itself to be in the last year. I've been so impressed at the way it's been as leader. So helping to embed it as an absolute integral part of the research landscape, partly using my knowledge of the government sector and public sector, but also enabling the team and members to find that and keep in that proper place where what we say matters, is heard and is actioned.
At this point, I usually ask people what they think of their colleagues, what they really think, but I don't do that with you since I am your colleague. So instead, I'm going to ask you, what was your first thought when we asked you to do this?
My first thought was, could I gnaw off my arm instead? And my second thought was, yeah, no, I get this. It's a proper part of being a CEO, and I just need to grow up.
Thank you for doing it. That's something I've always wanted to ask you and have never dared, is you have a CBE. What's it for?
Yes, my CBE citation is for services to public policy and research. Now, I've been a civil servant for 30 years, so I've done quite a lot. But I think the things that stand out for me, and which I hope I was recognised for, are my particularly my time as director at pensions at DWP, when I was responsible for the policy and legislation which took 2 million pensioners out of poverty, which laid the foundations for opt-out workplace pensions, which we all now know and love, and introduced a new style of pensions regulator, which had its focus on the security of the pensioners rather than the convenience of the pension funds. Many other things, but those were highlights, and that's what I talked about with the Duke of Cambridge when I received this in March 2018. There you go, one CBE.
I've never seen one before. Thank you.
I'll bring it into the office one day.
And wear it, I hope. If we can finish on a high note, that is a high note, but if we can finish on an AMRC high note, if you had one wish for the AMRC, what would it be?
My one wish for the AMRC is to be recognised for its rightful preeminence in providing sector voice, sector evidence, and influence into decision makers across government.
Thank you, Hilary. That's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Carol.